Hi everyone, Richard here. Not long ago I shared a video on submitting student work through a Google Sheet to have Gemini assess it based on a rubric. So I've been developing those ideas a little bit further, and I've now created a Google Workspace editor add-on that can import assignments from Google Classroom and then perform a batch assessment and send the feedback directly to the student's email. So here's how it works. So I'll go as I would normally to find my add-ons, go to extensions, and I would open the AI feedback add-on. What this will do is open up a sidebar. And the very first time I open this up, it's going to ask for my Gemini API key. This is really easy to establish. You simply go to AI Studio and then create your API key and then submit it here. This is saved as a user property. And the reason we're saving it as a user property and not a script property is that we want all of the tokens and the quota sort of possibility to be just yours and not shared amongst everybody in your school, right? So this will make it highly unlikely that you'll come up against any usage quotas because it's entirely yours. So the next thing you'll notice is we have a drop-down menu of our Google Classrooms. So in this case, I'm going to select the only class I have in this demo environment is my sample class. And immediately upon selecting it, it's going to load all of the assignments that are in that class. So I can see there's 3 assignments, and again, this is a multimodal approach as well. So if it was an audio recording, we could import the audio file, and Gemini could actually assess and evaluate that based on a rubric as well. But in this case, we're going to look just at a written piece of work, which is a narrative essay, and I'm going to import all of the student assignments into this Google Sheet. So I click the import button, and you'll notice now that in row 2, I'm going to have the one submission that has been submitted for this. So as we explore this Google Sheet, we'll notice that we have the file ID, which is going to be helpful for us when we send the file to Gemini, the file URL, which will be helpful when we send the email back to the student, so we can also include the link to the file back to the student. And we have a placeholder for the actual Gemini feedback, and then a status column, which lets us keep track of how many rows have been processed. So after listing the submissions in the Google Sheet, we now need to attach a rubric. So you can see here I've already attached my writing rubric, but if I wanted to change it, I would select a different one. But I'm just going to continue and use that writing rubric. And that's the entire setup. And now all I need to do is click Run the Batch Assessment. And what this will do is send the student submission to Gemini. We should see momentarily an update in our Google Sheet. So there we go. We know that Gemini is now analyzing that work and creating some feedback based on the rubric we've attached to that assignment. So as we wait for that's building, here it is, and we get confirmation that the feedback has been sent to the student. So this, of course, isn't super readable in the Google Sheet, but that's not the way it's going to be presented to the student. So as I'd mentioned at the beginning, we have the feedback going back into the student's email account. So I have here the inbox for that student, and we can take a look at the feedback. So again, I think it's important to know that, or to share that this feedback was actually generated by AI. So you want to make that very clear in the email. And it assigns essentially a level based on the levels in your rubric. And what I really like about the feedback is it's going to cite evidence in the actual text and provide some next steps to improve the essay, right? So, and then below that, it actually embeds the rubric for the student to explore if they want to see the actual criteria they are being assessed on. And again, they can click on their essay to access it again. So there you have it. One way to bring AI assessment to Google Classroom via Google Sheets and Gemini. Thanks for watching. Bye.